It's a brisk day. Kind of trying to clear off. Hopefully it does. I need to try to dry out a little bit, even though it's not going to dry too good in this kind of weather. It's 32 degrees, 31 in places. Got ice right here. It got a little bit chilly last night. It's supposed to stay kind of cool for a while here in our part of the world. Right now, I'm walking down here to get our 13 model 648H. My friend John's out there at the Western Star and the Beaver. We're gonna load it up off this job because, well, it's too wet. It'll probably stay wet here all winter now, and we can't complete this job. We'll have to come back, which the landowners are very understanding of that. They totally get it. They know what the ground's like here when it gets wet. So we'll take this down to Ash Grove, Bodart area, finish cutting our walnut, and then we got to get to North Missouri. We got to get to Weston. So Johnny's out there, like I said, kicking the ramps down, getting the chains out. He'll center me up when I take the skidder out there so we can get her squared up on the trailer. We've only got maybe a 15-mile haul, so short haul to the next job. The old girl fired right up. Hadn't been started in probably 10 days at least. It's a pretty good skidder right here. This is definitely my favorite one of the two. I need to get that. That bugs me. Little things bug me. We'll let her sit here and warm up a little bit. And we'll take her up there. Try to get her glued down. You can see how wet it was right here. Which, again, these landowners, and I'm super, super lucky to work with good clients constantly. They were not a bit worried about the mess we made on the hill. They're really not even worried about the ruts we make in the timber, which I can't hardly stand to do that to a track of timber. They would be fine with us trying to mud logs out, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight the mud. It makes the job just drag on. It makes it miserable. It just makes logging tough, bucking logs tough. Everything about fighting the mud is just tough. So it's just easier if we come back when it dries, finish this job up, because the next area we've got to go is clear over here on the back side of the farm, the big draw where the better white oak are. This here, we'll probably eventually come back and reseed this. We'll throw some seed down here. We can bring the skid steer back and smooth these ruts up, which they have a skid steer as well. So I think that's a lot of it. They're not too worried about this. I mean, they encourage me, just go to work, do whatever you can, whatever you need to do, make it happen, which I like that, but at the same time, I consciously can't just tear something up. We're mobile. These are what logs are left. It's mainly some white oak tops, some ash logs. Ooh, see, we're sliding right there. Really bad, really bad. We're getting ready to get into these logs. Sliding. I told you she's wet right here. Try to get a straight shot run at it. Maybe we can get out. Just go ahead and cheat. Lock that differential in. Still got my Ranger here. I need to come get it and get it home. Get it on to the next job. She's pretty greasy. Yeah, you can kind of see these logs. And you get that ash on the yard. A few post oak in there. It's mainly top logs, pallet grade. One lone walnut in there. I got a few walnut out here in the pasture. They want to get cut as well, which some of those will be pretty easy to bring down. Some will not because of that power line. This fence over there, the old store building. This is actually an old community right here. It's a little bird called Corey. I'm told, because I get curious about things like this. Like I said, you can't hardly see it. Right there is the old store building, and they actually lived in it long before they built their house. But I guess at one time, maybe 100 years ago, 100 plus years ago, they mined lead right in this area here west of Dadeville, Missouri. I never knew about it until I come and looked at this job. And the old Corey cemeteries up here, which my dad has a good friend that's buried there. He used to log with him. Passed away just before I was born. Or there's John. He's a solid dude, man. It's hard for me to imagine doing some of the things I do without good friends like that help me along the way. I've been trying to get him to come work for me full time. Community watch right here. Keeping an eye on us. Johnny's got the bag there. I had to get him out of the toolbox. Shut this door. We'll get her on up here. Yeah, he thinks that's good. Good. This is truly one of the great things about having a cab machine when you're working by yourself. So I'm going to get out of here in just a bit. I'm going to cut a few of these trees. It's cold, the wind's blowing pretty hard, but it's blowing out of the east. So some of these trees aren't cutting them. That east wind's going to help me. But I'll get out, cut a few trees. I'm going to leave this skidder running. I'm going to leave the heat on in this skidder. I'll jump back in this thing, warm up, go back to cut. Kind of makes it nice. Makes it real nice. One of these big trees here we've got to pull. A real big one. Probably the hardest one to pull is going to be right there. That right big one you see right there in the angle. This thing might be a little tricky to get out. Kind of fell in here in these hackberry. I don't know if we can pull that angle right there. We might be able to. Kind of pushing hedge here. For you people that don't have hedge in your part of the world, you're lucky. That is nasty, nasty stuff. Let's see if I can. It's odd when I try to run the grapple with my left hand. I'm horrible at it. We're getting hung up on that little tree there. This is one of those things where, for me, I really need two hands in to concentrate. I think we can get her. Come on now. Spin back a little bit, right there. Easy. We don't want to scuff the bark on that. Maybe we got it. You betcha. You betcha. Now if we can snake her on out here. These hackberry coming down, that's not such a big deal. Junky things anyway. Little bitty guys. Let's see if we can back up and take another bite at this. We just pushed it over with the butt plate of the skidder here. I didn't want to run the risk of it coming back and hitting the fence that we're gonna try so hard to miss tomorrow. Doesn't come in the cab and skidder with me either. It seems like this walnut really likes these little hedge groves, hedge and hackberry. Nothing else really seems to. Generally landowners included, loggers definitely included. I guess I kind of like it because that's where the timber is, but hedge is nasty stuff. This is truly one of the best things about having these newer skidders. Having a full set of work lights, radio, heat and air, and being able to drag logs into the night. Now I had a goal that I wanted to get all the trees I could cut without having to pull them down. Where am I at on that? There we go, where I thought it was. Back up here and we'll grab that. Tomorrow, hopefully we can wrap this job up. I think I've got 7 trees, 7 or 6 to pull. A couple of them are broods. And one of them, I think we can get away with pushing. I hope. But a couple of them are going to pull really hard. But the big trees should be fun to cut. Still got a few more to go, so it's gonna be a little later when we get home tonight. So I got Dad down here to help me this morning. This is kind of what I cut yesterday when I drug last night, so you guys can follow our stories on Instagram or Facebook, however that stuff works. I posted a video of me dragging logs late last night, so that's what I drug out last night. Regardless, what we can get cut today, because this wind's blowing a little harder than I thought it was supposed to. It's blowing kind of out of the west, which isn't terrible, but at the same time, it's not great, and it's gusting pretty hard. Of course, up here on top of this ridge, this hill, there's not a whole lot to stop the wind. So I don't know if we'll get these really good trees down today. The one in particular, but these trees in the back, there's some pretty good trees back here too. So we only got like 6 trees left to cut. I think we can get these down back here. One of them, this great big ugly thing, I was just talking to Dad. Dad and I started the skidder, let it warm up. Then we just kind of drove around. I showed him kind of what we needed to do, kind of the plan of attack. But this one, I told him, I said, well, I'll cut that one first. We'll just take the skidder, and I think we can get on the back side. If I put a good hinge in it, we can shove that kind of where it needs to go. Because it's kind of got to fall anyway. It's kind of wanting to fall with us, but just to be sure, a little insurance, we'll use the skidder to push on it, because it's got a couple limbs if you get that property line fence, and that's the last thing we want. So we'll get up here and get to whittling on that. And one big tree right there in the middle. That one big tall tree. See it right there? Yeah, right there. That's the one. That's a good tree too. And Dad and I looked at it. It's the fence is touching the tree. It's not in the tree, but it's touching the tree. And I told Dad what worried me is when we go to pull that tree is going to fall. And I don't think it'll kick back. I think we can get it to where it will not kick back at all. But still, I'm worried about it raising that wire up and possibly tearing that hog wire up. And I'm pretty sure the gentleman to the south there has some cattle. And I'm not a cowboy, fellas. The last thing I want to do is wrangle cattle or chase cattle on a cold day like today. Because she's cold outside. She's in the 20s with a strong wind. And that's pretty cold for us South Missouri boys. It is chilly out there. So I've kind of pushed some tops up here to give me some room to work. I've got this tree cut. I've got a little bit of holdwood on it. And what I want to do is get way here on the back side. You can see the fence right there. I want that tree to go out there. I got one wedge over here on this back side for a little insurance. Blade up high. We'll come in over here. Hopefully. Come on, girl. No, too much holding still. Have to get out and whittle on a little more. So I missed the fall, but it cut good. But just like right now, it's cold, things are brittle. The top logs busted up. A lot of those limbs up there we could use for logs, not all of them, but some of them. And you know, it's hard to get that stuff down this kind of weather without a little damage. But the main body's good, and that's what counts. It's just, well, you know me, guys, I'm greedy. I want it all, and I get onto myself for that. But honestly, I don't. You could pull tree tops up. There's a million things you can do, but honestly, when it gets brittle like this, that walnut busts and pops pretty easy.